Hi everybody, how are you? Well, who said you can't walk on water? Anyways, today we're going to talk about several things, okay? And as you can see, we're talking about a lot of things today, but today we're going to talk about vocabulary, okay? And we're going to go over basically the question styles, okay? And the question and how to answer these type of styles. And the thing is, in TOEFL reading, right, especially for different sections, I told you there was 10 different styles, right? Well, I'm going to show you how to do one, okay? Okay, let's take a look. Okay, here we go. Okay, now, we're looking at vocabulary, okay? Now, this is the subject that you guys probably really hate, okay? And the reason why is because most likely, you have to memorize things, right? But I'm going to show you, right, how they used to do this in the past. Let's take a look. Okay? First of all, in the past method of learning, okay, people were actually taught to memorize, okay? And then they were taught to do repetitions, okay? That means repeating the words over and over again, okay? The other way is basically repeating and going back to the dictionary over and over again. And these are the only basic 3 methods of basically learning new vocab. Okay? And a lot of you guys are familiar with this. The problem is, here we go. The problem is you can't retain it. Okay? How many guys went to school, okay, or they ask you to learn about TOEFL and they give you 150 words to memorize in like, I don't know, in one day? Okay. What happens? Do you remember any of it? Well, I'm going to give you an instance, okay? I used to have a student who normally gets around 90 or 100% correctly on their vocab after giving 150 questions per day, okay? Now, the problem is that by the end of class, right, they probably just forgot the whole thing anyways. Did you guys think you have the same problem? That's because just before the exam or just before the test, right, you're sitting there cramming it really quickly. Okay? Now the problem with this is that by the end of classroom, you probably don't memorize, you probably remember like 1 or 2 words, right? So it doesn't work. The second thing we see here says is it's just too difficult. Okay? You're gonna say, I can't do this, it's impossible. Right? I can't memorize all these vocab. I can't even remember what I'm going to do tonight for dinner. Right? So this is one area we have a lot of problem with. Okay? So now before I continue, let me change the scene. Here we go. Okay, now it's the educational review. Okay, so now we changed everything so that you guys can see a little bit better, right? Okay, take a look. Why do people still use the old method? Because there is no new method that was given out right now. Okay? There was a very famous person. Read this with me, please. Here we go. If we teach today as we taught yesterday, we rob our children of tomorrow. Okay? Now, what does this really mean? Right? It means that educational or education itself, right? And education and schooling is 2 different things. A lot of you guys don't know this, okay? Education can be anywhere, right? You can learn about so many things, right? But schooling is just academic. So are you good in schooling or are you good in education? Okay? Now, a person who said this was, here we go, John Dewey. Okay, he's a very famous psychologist, okay, a philosopher, right? And he changed everything in the United States. Now, when you guys have time, I want you to look this up because this person, right, changed the education system in North America. Okay. Now, let me talk to you a little bit more about John Dewey and what he did. Okay, but before we do that, right, I want you to take a look at a video. Okay, here we go. Now, this is a video, okay, of how education was in the past. right? That you can see, right? Basically, I know it's an old clip, right? It's pretty old, right? But the thing is, the clip itself doesn't really matter, okay? The thing is, I want you to understand, okay, that basically the education system in Asia or your country right now is probably very similar to this time. When is this? 1940s, okay? Because look at, if you take a look at it, they're memorizing multiplication. Okay, most of your countries do that, right? Okay. They're also memorizing different areas. For example, dates, right? What happened in chronological order. They're actually memorizing this, okay? Now the problem with this is, is that the students who memorize this method, right, has a really, really hard time, right, retaining it. Okay? Why do you think so? Do these students look happy to you? Are you guys happy when you guys are told to memorize so many things like 150 vocab? It'd be pretty difficult, wouldn't it? Right? Well, let me talk to you about John Dewey a little bit more, okay? Because I know we're talking about vocab, right? But this is really important. I want you to understand because I want you to change your method of thinking, okay? And it's really important for my class for you to actually change the method of thinking. Okay? It's imperative. That means important. Okay? Just take a look at John Dewey, what he did. Okay, here we go. He had a profound impact on the progressive education. Okay? That means he changed the education system in the United States. Okay? Now, how did he do that, right? Well, it's kind of difficult for you guys to understand, but how he did it was, you have active learning, right? And you have passive learning. Active means you're actively doing things to change and to learn about something. Now, passive learning means you're just sitting there, listening, retaining, memorizing. Okay? He changed this. Okay? He rejected, right, the teaching methods of authority. That means they sit there, they give you a long lecture, they tell you what to do. Do this, do your homework, do this, do this, do this. Okay? He changed this. Okay? I'm going to tell you a little bit how he changed it a little bit later. Okay? His education theories were based on ethical value. Okay? Right? Because if you saw the video before, it wasn't really ethical having the students repeat over and over again. Now I don't think that's called teaching. I think that's called guiding, but that's not teaching. Okay. The other thing he did was he was a Democrat, right? Right. He basically integrated the culture of all the cultures, right? And he used it for the students to learn. For example, cooking. Okay. He taught math using cooking. Okay. The other thing he did was, his aim was to reform both educational and the class courses. He did this by going to university and changing their educational system. Okay. That's amazing, isn't it? Okay. Now, he also lectured all over the world at this time. Okay. He went to Turkey, Soviet Union, and Mexico to educate on active learning, non-passive. Okay. So in my classroom, or this segment, okay, I need you to become very active. Okay. Even the topics may be boring. Okay. I'm going to show you methods that is not going to be boring at all. Okay. Okay. So let's move on. Okay. Here we go. Now, the best learning ways of vocab, right, is first of all, what not to do is, please don't translate this into your own language, okay? I found that so many students change or translate vocab into their language. They lose their literal meaning. What does that mean? Okay? You can't translate something, right, and see that its exact meaning. Okay? There are more similarities in the native original language, right, than it is when it's altered or translated. Okay? So I need you not to translate this. You're going, teacher, I don't understand. If you can't translate it, then I don't know what the meaning is. Okay? So I need you to do the second thing. Look up easier English definitions. Okay? For example, let's say you don't know the word for beneficial, right? So you're going, okay, I don't know beneficial, right? But if you ask a native person, would they give you a translation of it, or would they give you an easier English of it? They're probably going to say, oh, beneficial, it actually means good. Something better. Good and better is a vocab that you already understand. Okay? But the fact is, beneficial isn't. Right? But now you retained three things. Not a translation, because if you keep translating things in your head, what's going to happen? It's going to take time. If it's going to take time, then you can't really speak it, nor can you write it. But right away, see, her beneficial in your mind says good, better. Boom, that's done. Okay? Now the third thing I want you to do is I want you to replace the words that you already know, like good, right, and bad, and replace it normally on a daily use, right? You can replace it saying, oh, hi, how are you, right? Was the class good? Instead of that, you're gonna say, oh, is the class beneficial? Yeah, that's the way I want you to learn, okay? And that's the best way to learn, okay? Because of the fact that now you're replacing your original vocab, good, bad, small, right? Into beneficial, right? Detrimental, right? And insignificant. Changing those little words to larger words will build your vocab right away a lot quickly, and you're gonna enjoy it. Why? Because your friends, when you go out and you start speaking, hey, how are you? Right? Last day's quiz, was that detrimental for you? They're gonna go, oh my God, this person actually knows English really, really well, even though you just replaced the words. So I want you to enjoy it, have pride, have fun, okay? The other thing I want you to do here, look up here, is I want you to look over your writing that you already did in the past. Then I want you to start changing the vocab in the past to new vocab. The ones that you just learned, okay? An average person uses an average native English speaker uses around 200 vocabs and repeat it over and over again. Okay? So, wouldn't that be pretty easy for you too? Right?